has been forever since I've done one of these Beatle album reviews. I don't know, when it came to this one, I have kind of like been on the fence of how do I, well, I mean, I've felt this way with all of them, of how do you review a thing that has been so integral in literally your entire damn life and be objective about it? It's hard, and this one especially. I mean, for me, it's one of my absolute favorite Beatle albums, so trying to be objective about this one, really, super damn hard for me. But I will also be the first person to admit it's almost a little bit of an oddball album in that halfway through, there's almost like a split where the first half of it is the stuff that was in the movie, and then the second half has a totally different vibe and practically feels like a different album. It's not that it doesn't work or anything like that, it just has a very different vibe, and there is like an immediate shift, and when you listen to it sequentially, you feel that shift when it hits those songs, and it's like, huh, okay, different vibe. Vibe check, okay. So it's a different one. And as such, I think I'm even going to go about this differently. Instead of having pre-written notes that I'm referring to on each song of what I want to say about them, I think I'm just going to like hit stop, listen to each track, come back, and give my thoughts on them that way, and then give a rating at the end. So, hold on. Okay, so first track is the title track, which is obviously Help, and I'm pretty sure most people under the sun know this song at this point, either from the Beatles version or from the myriad of people who have covered it at this point. Pretty much everyone knows this song. But it launches it off with great energy and everything. I can't hear it without thinking of the movie and the scenes in the movie where it plays. But I mean, I adored the song. It's one of my all-time favorite Beatles songs to boot, on top of it being one of my favorite albums. But yeah, I love everything about it. Everything about this song is just, it hits right and feels like peak level Beatle-y to me, if that makes any kind of sense outside my head. I don't know that it does, but yeah, that. So, I don't know, I absolutely love this track. It is a must play anytime it comes on. I don't think I have ever skipped this track in my life when it has come on shuffle, ever. Which is saying something, because most songs I've skipped at least a few times in the history of my life, but not this one. This one gets top marks from me. Okay, so the second track on the album is The Night Before, and it totally keeps that increased energy going, everything, and it really does feel like an extension of Help. And I love how just very 1965 this track feels because of the use of the organ in the song. It feels almost like a nod to the Shea Stadium show, which I don't even know if that had happened yet at the time of this album. I don't think it had, but I mean, just in hindsight, looking back, it makes me think of it. Jeez, come on, clock, be quiet. But anyway, I really like this one too. This is another one that always just gotta blast the volume when it's on, gotta sing along with it, and pretty much everything on this album you gotta sing along with. Like, let's be real. But yeah, this one just, it's really fun. I love the harmonies on it. Just, they are to die for. They are so good. Everything about this song is so good. And again, gotta think of the movie and where it shows up in it every time I hear it. Like, it almost feels weird not having it interlaced with She's a Woman, which, honestly, given that part of the movie, they should have been on the album too. It should have been, but it's not. But it feels like it belongs with it, almost as a part of it, even though they're two very different songs. But yeah, I really like this one too. Okay, so the third track on the album is You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. And for me, this is like one of the few dips in the album where I'm like, it's okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just, it's okay. It is, I hate to admit, the track out of this album that I am the most liable to skip unless I'm in like a very particular kind of mood and want to listen to it. That said, it's a great sing-along song. So, I mean, it's great fun when it's in a setting like that. But outside of that, it is one that, I'm not gonna lie, it gets skipped an awful lot by me. But, I mean, it's okay. And it's, like, especially if you're, like, a very beginner's guitar player, It's a very easy one to be able to learn, like, right off the bat. So if you want, like, instant gratification, you can learn that one really, really easy. But, not a whole hell of a lot of things I can say about this one because, yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing great, nothing to write home about. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of shit in the comments for going out on a limb saying that, but it's my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. Okay, so the fourth track on the album is I Need You, which is George Harrison's contribution to the album, both writing it and singing it. And I have to admit that when I first discovered this album, even the movie, I initially didn't think that much of this song, but over the years, it has so grown on me. Like, honestly, now I love the song. Even singing along with it is probably one of my favorite ones to sing along with now, but I don't know what I initially had against it, but it's very much grown on me with time, and the lyrics of it are just so sweet, and I think I read somewhere that he actually wrote it about Patty Boyd leading up to when he ended up inevitably marrying her, but yeah, it's a very sweet song. I still feel like virtually none of the songs on this album have anything to do with the movie, so I think they were probably already written when the movie was made and they just threw them in wherever. But it is a really good song. I do really like this one. I recommend it highly. So the fifth track on the album is Another Girl, which kind of interesting placement for where they put it because they have it back to back with You're Gonna Lose That Girl. And I'm like, why would you put both of the girl songs back to back? I don't understand. Both from just kind of a mildly confusing standpoint with the titles, as well as honestly with the flow of the album. It's kind of an interesting choice that was made there. Not necessarily a bad one, just an interesting one. But that said, it is what it is. I don't know that I would have put them back to back, but I'm not the one who put it together, so it doesn't really matter what I would do now, does it? Now, Another Girl, oh, well, also interesting with that is just the whole message and vibe of both songs kind of contradict one another, so to put them back to back is also a very interesting choice. One is about Paul dumping the girl because he lost interest and found something new and shiny to chase after, versus the other one being a warning that you're about to lose your girlfriend if you don't stop treating her like shit, basically. So very interesting to put those right next to each other, but again, this feels like a very John versus Paul kind of a thing, but anywho. Yeah, Another Girl feels like such a fun and, like, retro, summery, like, song, and I know part of that is just the way that the song was portrayed in the movie, but also just in general, it kind of has that vibe on its own. The guitar work in it is phenomenal. I adore it. It's such a fun song that you can't help but bop along to it. Like, it is, as the kids say, a bop. But anyway, yeah, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. I really, really like this track. Okay, so that brings us to track 6, which is You're Gonna Lose That Girl. Like I said, that's the Other Girl song that is back to back. And of the two, if I had to pick one that I prefer, actually I like this one even more. The harmonies in it are very reminiscent of like the earlier Beatles stuff, and I like that like the main vocal and the harmonies are doing two different things at the same time. It's so pleasing to the ear. Again, the guitar work is phenomenal in this, and just the energy in it's so good. Just everything about it I just freaking love. Like, if anything were a contender for my favorite track besides the title track, it would probably be this one, actually. Like, just, I cannot say enough good things about it. Just, like, I cannot hear this song without it putting a smile on my face. I love it to death. Okay, so the 7th track is the last one of the movie songs, and this one is Ticket to Ride, which is another one where I feel like basically everyone knows this song, and if you don't, you should. But this one's another really great one that is also impossible for me to dissociate from the scene in the film. I just think of the snow every time that I hear it. But I mean, it has like the coolest drum pattern ever in it, and I love that Ringo finally gets props in this day and age for that drumming pattern. It's like one of his really unique ones. And just the jangly guitar and the vocals, everything on this track is just so good. Like, I don't know why this album doesn't get more love than it does, because it really deserves it. Okay, so this is where the album splits and feels like practically a totally different album, because the vibe shifts so hard. And it just cracks me up that of all the songs you could have made the transition be, you made it be the song with literally the biggest shift humanly possible, because this one is Act Naturally, which, yeah, it's a cover song, and it's Ringo's one song of representation on here. It's his little cowboy song, it's so cute. But, like, we go from Beatles, 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 Beatles to country, with nothing in between, and nothing like it again after. Just a one-off, but it's like, wow, like if we needed something to signify a shift in the album, vibe-wise, yeah, this is definitely it. It's another one of those songs where I feel like people either love it or they hate it, and there's not a whole lot of middle ground in between. I have heard more people rag on this song than anything, which makes me sad, because as a Ringo girl, I do love it because of that. But in the same note, I will fully admit that, you know, if I'm not in the mood for it, I'm not in the mood for it, and have been known to skip it too, even though it's the only Ringo song on the album, and I feel really bad for that. But, you know, it doesn't really fit with the rest, like, if I'm being honest. Well, sometimes I listen to it more often than I listen to, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, to be totally honest, but, yeah, it's a strange one, but it's alright. It's not horrible, unless, you know, you just can't stand Ringo, but it's just okay in my book. Okay, so the next track is It's Only Love, which is another kind of weird one, partly for whatever instrument that is in the intro, but just in general, it kind of feels like a filler song, like they wrote it to fluff up the album, just to fill it out more. It feels kind of half-hearted, to be really brutally honest. Like, they weren't trying 100% here. Like, it's not a bad song, it's not a dislikable song, it's one of those where it just doesn't feel like they put their full heart into it, which is ironic given it's a song about love. But I mean, like, I don't know, like, it's hard to put into words the feelings about this one. It's another one where I'm like, it's alright, if it comes on I'll listen to it, but I mean, would I ever think of it on purpose to go out of my way to specifically listen to this particular song? What the hell was that? No, I probably wouldn't. So, I mean, like I said, it's okay. Okay, so the next song is George's second contribution to the album. Hey, you actually got two. And this one is You Like Me Too Much, which, again, similarly to the other song, like, when I first discovered this album as a little kid, for whatever reason, I don't know what beef I must have had against George as a little kid, but clearly I got over it, because initially didn't like the song much, but over time it's grown on me, and now I really like it. Probably because I realized that I sing in, like, the same key as George, but anyway. But, no, it's a cute song. It's another one that, like, makes use of that cool organ that just sounds very 1965 to me. It's like a signature of that year that didn't really hear it before. Don't hear too much, if any, of it after. It was like a that year thing, and that was it. So no. But, anyway. But yeah, this one's kind of cool. I like it. It's got, like, an interesting rhythm to it. I think it's cool. I like this one. Okay, so the next track is Tell Me What You See, which is another one with really cool harmonies in it. This one's not doing two different things at the same time, though, like You're Gonna Lose That Girl. This one, they're singing the same thing at the same time, but in different keys, and it gives a really interesting effect, and I like it a lot. It's another one that makes use of the organ again, so it just kind of feeds into the sound that is really prevalent on the second half of the album, very much so. But yeah, it's a catchy little tune. I like it a lot. I feel like it's another one that doesn't get enough love as it deserves. Back in the 90s, I felt like it got a lot of radio airplay on our local classic rock station whenever they did, like, their Beatle Hour on Saturdays, and then they moved what day of the week it was, but regardless, you just get a lot of airplay, now it gets nothing. Ever since Clear Channel 1 bought out all the radio stations, but anywho, I like it a lot, so. So the next track is I've Just Seen a Face, and I forever love this one. This is one that, for the longest time, as a little kid, I had the hardest time trying to keep up with singing along with it, although in hindsight, now there's many songs I know that are much faster than that with a lot more words in them that are harder to keep up with, and this one's a walk in the park by comparison, but I digress. So this one, it's just fun and bouncy and has a lot of energy to it. It's got a different vibe to it than a lot of the album. Actually, it's probably the closest thing to matching the vibe of Act Naturally, just because of the style of guitar in it. But I don't know, I think it's a fun little song. I'm glad that Paul took it out of retirement by the time he was in Wings and brought it back for Wings Over America. I just love the song. So the next track is Yesterday, which if you don't know this song, I don't know what rock you've been living under. But it's an interesting choice. It doesn't really go with anything else on the album. But on that same token, where would it fit in the repertoire? It needed to go on something. I mean, I suppose they could have released it as a single, but it does add to like the disjointed vibe that the album kind of has. But it's such a good song though, like in and of itself. I think it was like Paul's first foray in the Beatle years anyway, into writing something completely on his own without John. This was his baby. We all know the story of how it came to him in a dream. I'm not gonna rehash it, but that song's his baby. It will forever be his, solely his. Even if it may or may not have the Lennon-McCartney writing credit on it, that is Paul's. But just unbearably beautiful song on every level. Like, I think it still holds the record for being the most covered song in the world, and with good reason. So, I mean, you know, for a song that came to him in a dream, can't really knock that now, can ya? And finally, the last track on the album is Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which, being right after Yesterday, is kind of like culture shock. Bam! Straight into something like super fast, super rocking, go from quiet, slow, orchestra. It makes me laugh every damn time because it's so jarring, even knowing it's coming. It never loses that effect. But it's a really good song. I think it's another cover song, but it's still a really good song. In my opinion, if I'm being 100% honest, I feel almost like Dizzy Miss Lizzy has more of the vibe of something that belonged on Beatles for Sale than it does on Help. But I'm still really glad it's there because I really like it. But just in terms of tone and everything, I feel like it kind of maybe sort of belonged a little over there, but that's okay. Not complaining. Still really like it. But yeah, they had to end the album on an upbeat song. They couldn't end it on something like Yesterday and have everybody be all depressed and shit. They needed something really upbeat and happy, which this gives it. It totally does pull that energy right back up to where it started. It's like that same manic energy that's in Help, and I love that. So I had to think long and hard on what I would rate this album, which, oh goddamn, being objective about it is really not my strong suit when it comes to the Beatles, because I just want to love everything all of the time. But if I had to put a number rating on it, gun to head, had to put a number rating on it, I think fairly I could give it an 8.5. As much as I would love to be like, it's a 10, I would just as quickly say that about every freaking Beatle album because that's just me. But if I'm doing this objectively, 8.5 feels very, very fair, I think. So, oh god, but it is absolutely one of my favorites, and I just love it to the moon and back, which I think we have established. So, anyways, if you have somehow, someway never heard the album in full, you should definitely go do that right after watching this. So, Anyway, that is it for this one, guys. So as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. What are your thoughts or feelings on this album? What would you rate it? Leave that as well as anything down below in the comments. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link as always is down in the description. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.